আচ্ছা।
What's happening on live stream? What's happening on live stream? Go live. I don't want this. I want a slideshow.
You want what?
Check now. Wait.
Are you ready your voice today?
Yeah.
Hey everyone, we'll get started with the orientation now. Welcome to the official Beta Labs Tech Club orientation for 2022. These are the mentors. I'm Aditya Srinivas Menon from third year, batch 2020, and my co-mentor is Shashank Srivatsava, who's taking the session downstairs. And the faculty in charge of Tech Club is Dr. Victor Paul. So any questions you have regarding the Tech Club, you can hit us up. You can either contact the mentors or the sub-club mentors, which will be revealing soon, or the faculty in charge himself, and we will clear any of your doubts. So this is the main topic of today's session. Y'all are here for the first time, fresh out of JEE, don't know what to do with your engineering career, and want to get started with a technical background, and you're a total low. What are you going to do? So that is why the Tech Club exists, and we've got you covered. So there are primarily two kinds of people right now. People who already have some kind of background in computer science. It can be Python from your 12th grade, C++ from your 12th grade, SQL, or any other language that you've learned in your 12th CBSE or state board, or people who have absolutely no exposure to computer science. And we welcome both of you people. And this session will be more oriented to people who have no idea about computer science and who are just getting into the field. And to be honest, this will be a little biased towards computer science, the last part of the slides, but most of it, the majority of it will be common for all the branches if you want to get into computer science. And we'll have a specific orientation for electronics and cybersecurity taken by the sub-club leads of cybersecurity and electronics in the coming week or this weekend. So if you're a total beginner to CSS and do not know how programming works, here are some great resources to get started with. The first and foremost, I would highly recommend CS50 lectures. These are free lectures available on YouTube by Stanford, which are top quality lectures on getting started with programming and any programming language. So if you want to learn programming, this is your go-to place. You can also find other resources on YouTube and just explore. Just go around, go to Coursera, make an account in Coursera, go through all the beginner courses available, and find something that suits your niche and start doing it. Your main goal right now is to develop that programmer mindset. Programming languages, all of the programming languages just concentrate on one thing, which is developing a programmer mindset, and that is what your priority should be right now. And I'll be sharing all of these slides after the orientation ends, so you can make any quick notes if you want to on your mobile phone or on a notepad, and don't worry too much about it, just listen. Uh, Second thing you might want to get into if you're interested in CS is competitive programming. It's a quick and easy way to understand programming languages, gain your skill set, and also add a little, a competitive touch to it. So competitive programming is basically you're given a question, you're given some constraints, and you have to solve it within a time limit. And this will improve your knowledge about programming as well as you'll be able to learn a new programming language and add it to your resume. So that's great. If you're not into competitive coding and you want to get out of that rat race from JEE mindset, you can also check out some great hackathons. So what are hackathons? Hackathons are small time periods, let's say a weekend or something like that. And these are usually hosted by huge organizations like MLH, which stands for Major League Hacking. Now you can go to MLH, find some hackathons, and enroll for hackathons. Now, in this weekend, you will mostly be building a project from scratch. So, let's say you have this great idea of building a website for your fellow batchmates to, I don't know, track your attendance for class or whatever. So, you can come up with an idea, execute it using some kind of programming language, and then publish it in the hackathon, submit it so that the judges can see, and you'll get graded based on the project. And if the project is really good, then you'll get you'll get some kind of a price which is worthy enough to put into your resume. So hackathons are a great way to get some projects done and get some achievements. Now I'll talk about why projects and achievements are a good thing in the computer science field in general. There are two ways to explore. So college is all about exploring. You will have to come out of your JEE mindset. It's not about you alone, working hard to get some kind of marks which will put you out there in the ranking list and, all that kind of selfishness. College is all about cooperating and hanging out with people. The more you learn, the more you teach, the more you get better. So if you want to know more about, let's say, a specific field you're interested in, the two best ways to go about it is to either approach your seniors who are already good at the field or to find out your own resources online. Resources, you can go to YouTube, dig deeper into some specific channels that you're interested in, and you can get lots of content. And Discord is another great place for hackers. So you can go to Discord, join some servers like MLH, and there are lots of hacker communities online, IIIT's club and stuff like that. And then you can talk to people, talk to beginners like you who are getting into CS, who are trying to get some internships, placements, etc., and get some insights on what they are doing and what you can learn from them. This is a great way to get started with your career. And the second best thing to do is to approach seniors. Now, this comes with its own benefits and disadvantages. So before you approach a senior, make sure they're comfortable with it. You can't just go around asking everyone some random silly doubt that you have and waste both of your time. So learn how to approach a senior, make sure they're comfortable with it. If they are not, approach someone else. There are more than 600 people in this college who are ready to help you at this point. Write down all the questions that you want to ask about, and let's say you're interested in AI and deep learning, but you don't know where to get started with. You can approach me. I work in AI and deep learning right now, so you can approach me, ask me how to get started, blah blah, everything else. But make sure you come with exactly what you want to ask for, and don't just come to me talking just asking me for random advice like how do I get started, basically silly questions, because that will waste both of your time. come with some genuine doubts, and I'm more than happy to help you. And then comes referrals. So once you're comfortable with the senior, you've talked to them for a long time, you can ask them for referrals at the place they work. It can be internship referrals or placement referrals, and this way you'll be able to land an internship in a great firm, and that will help your career. Yeah, you'll end up having to make resumes by the end of the semester, and one great way to get it reviewed is from your seniors. So, so just talk to a senior, send them a resume. They'll give you criticism about it. You change, you update your resume from the criticism, and both of you all benefit from it. And you can also collaborate on projects. So, as I said, college is all about collaboration. So the more you collaborate, the faster you get things done and the more projects you have on your resume. So collaborate with seniors and your fellow batchmates who are interested in the same topic, and you'll be able to get a lot of projects, participate in hackathons. Almost all the hackathons that are there right now are team-based. So it has a minimum of 2 members and to maximum of 4 members. So try to talk to people, get a team, participate in hackathons, and collaborate your way through success. And one thing that we often get annoyed is asking permission to ask. So don't just send a message telling, hey Bhaiya, can I ask you this? Just ask the question. And if they're comfortable with it, they'll respond. If not, they'll not. So it's just like cold emailing. You can text how many people you want. And if you get a response, good for you. If not, just move on. Yeah, so now we are going to talk about 2 major aspects of a computer science students. This is mostly related to if you want to become a software developer or a researcher or any of that sort. So the first thing is DSA, and the second thing is projects. DSA is a very important skill that you will have to earn while you're in your first or second semesters in your early parts of your career. So what is DSA? Data structures and algorithms. It's a fundamental part of computer science, and you'll be taught DSA in your college too. But it's better if you get started with it early on. So DSA is majorly for problem-solving skills. People often confuse between competitive coding and data structures and algorithms. Competitive coding is a sport. It's the competitive word explains the whole competitive coding idea. So DSA is more about getting to know more data structures and algorithms from an interview point of view. Interviews are completely different from a competitive coding environment where there's an interviewer who's trying to judge if you know a certain concept or not, versus competitive coding when you're trying hard to solve a problem in like a given time. We'll talk more about DSA in the Coders Club session. We have a specific club called Coders Club for improving your data structures and algorithms and getting you introduced to competitive programming. They'll have bi-weekly contests which you'll be informed in a while. So DSA is super important from an interview point of view. Any software development interview, SD intern, SD full-time, or any kind of a software development role will have a coding round in the technical interview, and data structures will be asked. Unless you're going into a research field which is purely, you're looking forward to getting a master's outside India and going to that kind of you're looking for that kind of a career, you will end up having to learn DSA at one point in your life. So better get started with DSA. If you're not doing anything other, like if you're not specifically targeting anything right now, it's better to get started with DSA and put time and effort into it. You can visit websites like LeetCode, CodeChef, Codeforces, GFG. Familiarize yourself with data structures and algorithms, solve a few questions, and Codeforces and CodeChef has their own ranking system which will help you know where you're at and keep a track of your progress. We have a separate club called Coders Club which Abhijit Mishra will talk about.
Hello guys, my name is Abhijit Mishra, and today I'll be talking about the Coders Club. I'll be basically discussing these 5 things. So first of all, what is Coders Club? So as we just told you, for getting job interviews and excelling on these job interviews, there will be definitely a DSA round. So that's where your coding skills, your actual coding skills will be tested. And I'll just give you an example. It'll be a 40 minutes interview. They'll give you one question, and you just have to code it out, tell the whole logic, and write the code. And so basically, for preparing you for that, Coders Club has been formed. Here we conduct regular contests on code forces. For your senior batches, we have already conducted 2 contests, and we are planning a lot of stuff for you after New Year's. So good luck with that. And what benefits and opportunities by being an active member? So first of all, you get a lot of experience because we will be conducting a regular session on different topics like hashing, sets, multi-sets, whatnot. Basically, also, I want to mention about one very special competition. It's called BCM ICPC. It's like a World Cup for competitive programmers. So from each college, a team of 3 students is selected. Not selected. I mean, they take part in the contest, and if they get good enough rank. So for example, in Ambedkar College, around 700 teams were selected, and one team from our college also got selected this year. That's from they actually got an under 100 rank in the finals in the regionals. So big applause. Yes. So now, what are our plans for your batch? So, as I told you, we'll be starting in January, and initially we'll be conducting a orientation session similar to this one, but that will be more hands-on. You'll have to bring a laptop, you'll have to code some stuff, and it'll be halfway through your first semester, so I'll expect you to know like the basic syntax, and also. Like before syntax, there comes a language, and for competitive programming, I would suggest C++, but Python and Java are also great options, but stick to C++. So why should you do coding? This was very obvious from the beginning, and it's so for getting jobs. Basically, if you think all the companies, all the major companies, Google, Amazon, all the FAANG companies, Meta, Twitter, anything, they will definitely ask you. And companies like Google, who offers like above 25 LPA, they will be having 4 to 5 TSA rounds, and they will ask extremely hard questions. So without a good grasp of DSA and a lot of CP, so why CP actually? This is a very important question. DSA is important because DSA has like a very standard set of questions, but CP gives you a competitive edge because in interviews they won't ask you the question directly. They will twist it and mingle it. In coding platforms you get like straightforward questions. Okay, there are 3 nodes. You have to do this. There's a graph. You have to do this, and they'll ask you the answer. But in a competitive in an interview, they might ask you like, you are given an airport and there are these many stations and there are these many flights. So you have to like make those connections on your own, and that comes very naturally with CP. So that's highly recommended CP. Okay, that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhijit, for the talk on Coding Club. Now that's about 50% of what you have to do to get placed in a good company. Next comes projects. Projects are really important to upskill yourself and add something to your resume. what are projects? So projects are basically ways to showcase your tech stack. So let's say you have written a resume that you're very good with React and JavaScript, but how are you going to prove it to the person who recruits you that you're really good in this tech stack? By showing him a project that you've made that uses these tools. So it's a way for your recruiter to gauge your skills. So let's say you've given a link to your website that you have created. The recruiter can easily go to the website and check how well you know these concepts. Yeah, and a lot of people are asking me about projects versus certifications and if it's really worth getting a good certification online, a paid certification or whatever. So before you take up any certification or pay for any course that gives you a certificate, just ask yourself if there are many people who are enrolling for this course. If anyone and everyone can get a certificate, then it's not worth it. If there's some specific certification that really requires you to put your hard work and put in a little extra work to get the certification, then it might be worth it. A good example of this is the TensorFlow Deep Learning Developer Certificate. So TensorFlow is a framework by Google for deep learning, and they have this certification system where they give you this wide variety of tests and decide if you're worthy enough for the certificates. And only 3 people from India are have gotten that certificate. So now that's a really good certificate. If you have a TensorFlow developer certification on your resume, then you're easy hire. Like anybody and everybody will take you. But instead, you have some random Coursera certificate that has very close to no value. It's probably not worth it. Coursera is a really great place. You will get if you apply for financial aid, you'll get certificates for free. But let's say some other scams like let's say somebody is asking you to pay for certification and you pay for it and you get anyone who pays for it will get a certificate, then it's probably not worth it. So what a good project looks like, it has to be creative, it has to be unique, and it has to have some kind of complexity. Now, anybody and everybody can make a to-do list, but can you come up with a really creative idea that a recruiter has never seen in their life? Like try to make your project creative. Even if your idea is simple, there are tons of ways to make it creative and look unique. So yeah, make sure it's complicated. So this is where the collaborative part of it comes into picture. Let's say you know a particular tech stack and you're good with React, and somebody else is really good at deep learning. So both of y'all can come together and make a deep learning full stack website. And now both of y'all can put it on your resume, and that will look really good. Instead of having something like a weather prediction app or a cat versus dog separately, you can have a really good full stack deep learning project on your resume, which will be liked by people and which will be unique and kind of complex. Yeah, so basically try to collaborate with more people, get a lot of projects done, and this is a great way to add something to your resume and make it look full. Yeah, let me just try to. Oh, that's visible. Okay, great. I'll show you an example of my resume to get an idea of what a resume should generally look like. So this is my resume. Let's go through it one by one and see how you can make something similar to this. So initially you have your name, you have your email, contacts, LinkedIn, GitHub, your post, link to your Medium website, or something that you want to showcase. And then comes the education. This is standard. Do not put your education if your CGPA is very low. Okay. And skill summary. This will basically have all the stuff that you know about, so a recruiter can look at it and have a glance at what exactly the person is looking for, what position you exactly want to get into. Then you will have your research and experience session. So before coming to this, let's talk about projects. So you need to have 4 to 5 good projects on your resume, and since you're in your first semester and you don't have an internship or any research experience, it's very hard to fill up your resume. A resume is usually 1 page long and it's compact and it has everything that the recruiter wants. But if you don't have research and experience, there's a huge empty space in that area. So you can fill it up by using a lot of projects. And the more projects you have, the fuller your resume looks, and it's more appealing to the recruiter. So have as many projects as you want. Mention what kind of tech stack it uses, and write exactly what the project does, and add a lot of numbers and bold letters to make it stand out from your from other resumes. And then achievements. Achievements are something that you can get from hackathons. So as I said, MLH.io is a great place to get started with hackathons. Make a team, get a lot of friends, make a team, participate in hackathons, submit more projects, and you'll end up winning some hackathons. And all those can go into your achievement section. Again, the more achievements you have, the more your resume gets fuller and the better it looks. Community and leadership, you can take part in technical club sessions, you can take part in Coders Club, you can take part in Coding Ninjas Club. There are lots of clubs in IITK which we'll talk about in the coming slides, and all of that can be added to your resume and make it look fuller. We'll have a resume roast session. And I request all of you to make a resume as soon as possible. So try to start making a resume. Cannot be made in like one day or a few hours. It's a 3 to 4 month process. You'll come across different things that you don't want to put into your resume, some things you really want to put into your resume, and it's a lot of headache. So basically, get started with making a resume and slowly improve it a bit by bit until you have a really good, perfect resume. Okay. Now let's talk about different fields in computer science and what you might be interested in. So there's web development, which is categorized into front end, back end, and full stack. So front end deals with anything that you see on the website. So it can have HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, and various other frameworks. Back end usually deals with what happens on the server. So you can learn languages like Python, Django, Flask, etc., Node.js, Express.js for backend development. And then you will have full stack, which deals with both front end and back end. So let's say you want to make a full-fledged website that handles both the front end and back end, then you need to be a full stack developer, and having a full stack resume on your project on your resume is kind of good. And then we have artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. Now these three are kind of similar fields but very different. Artificial intelligence is the superset, then comes machine learning, and then comes deep learning. A great way to get started with this is by doing courses on Coursera. There's a course called Machine Learning by Andrew Ng. You can get started with that. Or there's this great website called fast.ai. It's a very good place to get started with deep learning, and it'll talk about deep learning basics, and it has a lot of projects you can work with. And then we have game development. Most of you will be familiar with game development, and we have a separate club called the Game Dev Club, which you can be a part of and make tons of projects together. Then we have quantum computing, and then we have cybersecurity. Quantum computing also has a sub-club this year, which is headed by Niranjan, and we'll be talking about that tomorrow. There's cybersecurity. Cybersecurity has a branch of its own, so we'll have a cybersecurity club talking about different cybersecurity concepts, and we'll also be having mock CTFs in IITK, so you can take part in them. Then we have app development. App development can be Android app development, iOS app development, or a mix of both, which is you can use a language like Flutter or React Native to do app development on both Android and iOS at once. Then we have low-level programming like CUDA, etc. So this is basically working with the cores of the CPU and GPU and making them do certain tasks. CUDA is a specific programming language for NVIDIA GPUs, and we'll be having a club for that as well. Then we have blockchain and Web3. We have tons of people in our batch who have gotten really good internships that pay a really good amount, like close to 35,000 a month for interns for Web3 and blockchain developers. We have one of them who's an intern as our blockchain sub-club lead, and he'll be talking about how he got his internship and how to get started with blockchain Web3 in the coming sessions. And then we have graphic designing, UI UX. So whatever you see on the screen has some kind of graphic designing behind it. So if you're really interested in UI UX and how to place certain elements on the website which makes it more appealing to the user, then you can get started with tools like Figma and Adobe XD and learn about basics of UI UX. We also have a subclub for UI UX and headed by Roshan, and he'll be talking about how to get started with UI UX. And yeah, basically Tech Club covers all of them. And if you have any question related to any of these fields, or even something that has not been mentioned here, you can approach me or Shashank or Victor Paul sir, or you can approach any of the sub-club leads who will be available here all of the time. Now let's come to open source. Open source, how many of you are here are kind of know what open source is and GitHub, Git, open source organizations, GSOC? Okay, very few. Okay, great. So what is open source? So let's say you make a website that let's say you make a website on your own, but it's too complicated for you to deal with it on your own. So what you can do is you can put it on a place like GitHub or GitLab or whatever, where people can contribute to it on their own. So let's say you make a really cool website for a college, let's say attendance tracker, because you need like 80% attendance in college or else you'll have to end up paying fines. So you have this very cool attendance tracker, but it's too complicated and you can't handle it on your own. So you tell your friends that, look, I have this idea for an attendance tracker, and you put it on GitHub. Now they can go to GitHub, look at your project, see what's missing, see where they can improve on, and they can submit pull requests to your project, and everyone can contribute to it, and this becomes some kind of a open source project that everybody can work on. So open source is a really good way to get started with in your first semester. You might have heard of, you might be using media players like VLC and Linux, and like operating systems like Linux. All of these programs are open source. That means some person, there are a few maintainers who host it on places like GitHub and GitLab, and many people from all over the world contribute to this particular project, and they build it over time. So yeah, what is GitHub? You can go to github.com, make a profile for yourself, and if you upload your college ID, they'll give you GitHub Student Premium for free. I'd recommend you do that as soon as possible, because GitHub Student is a really good way to access a lot of premium websites. Like you get Canva Premium, you can get access to GitHub Copilot and stuff like that. So go to GitHub, make an account, upload your IIIT Codems ID, and get a GitHub Student membership. And if you go to GitHub, there's a page for yourself. So as soon as you open GitHub, so example, if you want to go to my profile, you can go to github.com/KARYNAUR. So if you go to that page, you will get a list of repositories that I own, my README page, and etc. etc. And there are tons of templates on GitHub, open source templates on GitHub, which you can use to make to make your profile look much more beautiful and showcase it to everyone else. Yeah, and if you're really interested in open source and you want to get started with it, there's a really good organization. There's a really good internship opportunity / organization called GSOC, which stands for Google Summer of Code. So Google hosts this event every year where multiple organizations can come to GSOC, and they can put their name on the list of GSOC organizations. And we as students will apply for this organization, and if selected, we'll get to work on some of their issues. So let's say VLC Media is a part of GSOC. So you can go to VLC's official GitHub repository, see what issues are there, what issues the current users are facing, and solve one of those issues and get paid for it. Also get the tag of a GSOC scholar, which is pretty huge. And if it's there on a resume, and it's really good. So if you don't have much experience with respect to internships or let's say placement, internship related or project related exposure on a resume, you can go to GSOC, you can try applying for GSOC, and if you get selected, it's a really good opportunity to put on your resume. Yeah. Open source is very intimidating, and when I got started in my second year with open source, it was super hard. Like I didn't know what to contribute to, where to get started with. But stick to it. There'll be a lot of imposter syndrome and lot of intimidation factor in the open source community. But just stick to it, trust the process, and you'll get really good at contributions and get used to Git and GitHub. And one thing I would suggest is make yourself familiar with Git and GitHub. There are tons of online courses for 1 hour, 2 hour videos on how to get started with Git and how to set up your system so that you can have a local Git repository and connect to GitHub. Get started with that. Get yourself familiar with Git and GitHub so that it's a necessary tool for any developer in this day and age. So that would be a good thing to do. So yeah, you can look at open source programs like GSOC, Linux mentorship program, DevOps, MLH fellowships. These are really good places to get started with open source. And GSOC will start. The current GSOC is going on. GSOC 2023 will start their applications on May next year. So if you're really interested, you can go to their website, choose one organization, talk to people over there, get yourself familiarized with the issues, and you'll end up landing GSOC next year. Open source can be like getting into GSOC and Linux mentorship program can be considered as alternative to internships, and it look really good on a resume. Yeah, so as I told you, building a resume is very, very, very important. If you're going to get placed in a company, if you're going to go into a research field, if you're looking to do masters abroad, resume is very important, and it shows how good of a developer you are. Yeah, it's the first impression of you. You usually, if people are hiring for interns or full-time candidates, they just ask you to submit a resume. So that's the only place where you can. That's the only place where you can show yourself off, put your projects, put your achievements, and put yourself out there and try to be different from others. Solid resume takes a long time to complete. I myself took around 3 to 4 months to get to a resume that I'll be able to show it to others. So get started working on a resume. Whatever projects you have, any small project that you've done in 11th grade, any to-do list app, whatever it is, just put in a resume and start building it from today. And yeah, as I said, 2 to 3 personal projects, achievements, experience in terms of internship or research work, and you'll be able to get a solid resume. Now, what not to add in your resume? Sometimes you feel like adding a lot of shit on your resume and filling it up, but there are some things that you shouldn't put in the resume. Like you shouldn't put your address in your resume. Like that's personal information that you shouldn't put in a resume and put it on LinkedIn so that everybody gets access to it. You don't have to put the languages that you know, like Kannada, Malayalam, blah blah. Like recruiters don't care about what languages you know. As long as you're fluent in English, you're good to go. And do not add your photo. Photo is a big no on a resume. Instead of putting a photo, fill it up with projects and achievements. And yeah, there are certain red flags in the resume that we'll cover in a resume roast session. So once you have a good resume to showcase, send it to your seniors, and they will diss your resume and in turn, in a good way, in a very constructive way, so that you'll be able to build upon it and make a good resume. Yeah, let's say you're applying. Let's say you know what to do in your second or third year. You want to land a good internship, and let's say you're fixated on the fact that you want to land a deep learning internship. So you can tailor a resume in such a way that it's for deep learning. So what do people who hire deep learning interns want to look in a resume? Start thinking that way, and you'll be able to come to a conclusion on what to add in a resume and what not to add. Yeah, that's all. So yeah, this is a little about my internship experience. Okay, yeah. So in 2021, that's when my second semester was going on. I had a solid projects background. I had like 2 to 3 good projects on my resume. I had absolutely no experience whatsoever. There was no internships, no research stuff. It was just blank. and I was really looking forward to landing an internship so that I can gain some skills and at the same time upgrade my resume and be able to finally tell that I've landed an internship. A great way to get started is with start networking with your seniors. One of the first things I did was talk to a lot of seniors and do a lot of hackathons along with them. This helped me understand their point of view and how they code/develop a project, and this was really helpful to me in understanding what I need to become a good enough candidate for an internship. Then as soon as when I was in my first semester, I started building a resume, got it reviewed from seniors, did a lot of collaboration. I put some really shitty projects in there in the beginning, and then I slowly replaced it with good ones. So I had like a to-do list app, which was not really good. But then later I did a kind of satisfactory projects, which I replaced with the to-do list app. And then, I was my semester was online, so I had a lot of time. So I spent a lot of time on Discord, going to deep learning communities and going to deep learning communities, getting to know a lot of people, talking to different researchers in from different parts of the world, and I finally was able to land a very small research internship. It's not a real internship; it's like a research group where we did certain work and we got it published in a conference. So that helped me. In turn, networking on Discord and other online platforms helped me land a research paper. So you can also do the same. You can be out there on Discord, expose yourself to online communities and get to know a lot of people. Now that there are when I was in my semester 2, we had very less people in our batch. Now there are way too many people in your batch. There are close to 400 people. Connect with people, interact with them, collaborate on projects, and you'll be able to build a good resume. Identify the weak sections. If you don't have internships, work on getting one. If you don't have projects, work on doing one. If you don't have achievements, participate in more hackathons. If you don't have open source work, participate in GSOC. Be out there on open source communities, blah blah. And once you have a solid resume, it's time for you to apply for your internships. And one thing I did was mass applying. So so this was approximately how many applications I did. So I submitted about 101 applications on LinkedIn, email, GSOC, Slack channels, multiple places, angel.co, InstaHire. These are all the websites which you can go for to get internship or get placed. Angel.co and InstaHire are really good places for hiring, for getting hired. So I submitted about 101 different applications, and around 82 of them rejected me just straight up because my resume was not good enough or I was not good enough for that particular role. Some of them gave me an internship task, which is basically when the recruiters get their job done by giving it to people who submit their resume to them, and they end up not hiring you because the task was not good, or that they just got the task done. So why spend extra money and time hiring that candidate? So I ended up getting 17 different tasks, out of which 13 I couldn't complete because of depression, that I was not getting hired, and 4 I completed, and out of that 4 of them did not respond. So basically it was just waste of time and money, but I did get to do a ton of deep learning, so that's a plus point. And then 2 of them I was able to land an interview. One of them I gave the interview, but they straight up rejected me because I was not good enough. And finally, one of them ended up accepting the offer, and I got placed in Begin.ai, which is a Canadian startup. So it's a very cumbersome process. It will take a lot of effort to apply for internships, but be ready for it. And all of this process was initially when there were no senior which I could approach for asking a referral or offers. But right now there are tons of seniors who are placed in very good companies and who have really good internships. So you can approach them, ask for referrals, and our placement cell has also been getting a lot of new internships and placement opportunities. So you can apply to them, and you'll end up getting a good resume, a good internship in your second or third semester. Yeah, so one good way of approaching people for internships is cold emailing. So cold emailing is basically you figure out the email ID of a CEO or a CTO of a startup or any person for that matter from the website of their company, and you randomly send them a mail telling, hey, I'm a sophomore at this college and I have this experience and this experience, and I'm looking forward to a remote internship at your place. So I would love to talk about it and have a call during the weekend. And most of them get rejected because nobody really cares about replying to cold emails. But some of them, like some startups that are really looking for candidates, will end up replying to you. And this is how I landed my internship at this place. So this is the exact mail I sent to Rima, who's the CEO of Begin, which was previously called Genbu. I sent her my resume and a cover letter, and she called me back for an interview, and that's how I landed my internship. So talking about internships and research, internships and hackathons and certifications and all that, there's a lot of scam involved in this community. There's like way too many scammy stuff than good stuff in the tech community, and you should be aware of them, and you should make sure that you don't get into these scams. So recently, I saw a message in the 2022 group talking about some random ambassador shit, crap, whatever. So basically, do not get into any ambassador programs. They just yeah, it's very less value for work. Instead, if you can land an internship, it'll give so much more exposure to real life developing, and you'll have something to put on your resume. Random campus ambassador positions using very fancy words like quantum, sci-fi, blah blah, are not worth it. Lot of now that your email IDs are basically public database, lot of people will approach you. Lot of campus ambassadors from other colleges like other NITs and IITs will approach you telling, look, we have this very great opportunity. We are IITians, so we will give you this much exposure, but you will have to pay for it, blah blah. Anything that involves you paying for something is not worth it. If you're doing an internship and if you're working at a place, they have to pay you for your time and effort. And anything that's where you have to pay is probably a scam. So unpaid internships are basically manual labor. Do not get involved with that unless it's voluntary NGO or research work. Some research internships are unpaid, like if you want to become a IAS SRF scholar or IISc has a lot of research internships. Now these are really good institutes that offer great internships, but these are unpaid. But these are great and these are worth it. But unpaid internships from a random startup that's trying to bulk hire and get the work done is not worth it. Some internships are paid where you will have to pay for it. Not worth it. Do not go for it. It's a huge red flag. Some people give you performance-based stipends. So basically, they'll call you telling, you have to send a message in your group which has to have more than these many participants, and if you get these many course whatever, like if you are able to get people to buy their courses, then you will get a certain percent of it or whatever. All of this is a scam. Do not get involved in scam, or don't scam others or your friends. Please stay away from it. Versio, Sparks Foundation, Bolt IoT, these are classic scams that you'll find in IIIT Kottayam. Do not get involved in it. Stay away from these. Unpaid internship is okay only for research and NGO work. When it's from a very good organization like IISc, DRDO, any other research institute, it's probably worth it. It's not worth it if it's from a startup or any other company that does marketing. How much stipend is enough? Usually, if you're interning at some place, you'll get somewhere between 5K to 50K a month. So in that range, anything is fine. Anything less than that is probably a scam, and you should think about it twice. Some people, get really aggressive in their marketing tactics. They sell you to some random stuff that you're probably not okay with. Do not get into these scams. Okay, now that was DSA projects, internships, scammy stuff. Now, what do we do at Beta Labs? So we conduct weekly informative sessions. Last week we did not have a session because we had exams, but usually every week we have one session from Tech Lab. We conduct hackathons. Recently we conducted a hackathon called Activity, which had over 8 projects and 90 people who took part in it. It was amazing, and we'll have hackathons in December and January, which you can take part in and get some projects done. And we'll be organizing a lot of open source events. Last year we had this event called BOSS, which is a mock GSOC, which is basically IIITK's own version of GSOC, and it was a huge success. We'll talk about it in the coming slides. And we help students develop resume level projects. So there are tons of projects by the Tech Club which you can be a part of, and you can contribute to, which is an open source projects, and you can add it to your resume, and at the same time we'll get a beautiful projects for Tech Club to showcase. So for example, last year we did not have, last year we connected this cultural fest called Enlace. Enlace is IIITK's official cultural fest. We wanted a website for Enlace, but and we wanted to open source it. So we put it on GitHub in Beta Labs account, and multiple people from the college contributed to the website. And in the end, it was a full-fledged website which we used to market for our cultural club. So we'll have multiple such projects coming up, and you can be a part of it too. And we'll have a technical fest, and this year it's going to be a techno cultural fest, which will be happening in the early February or late January, and you can be a part of it. It'll be a fun time. It'll be a week-long technical and cultural celebration. So now let's talk about projects made by the Tech Club in the past year. Our very first project, not first, one of our projects was called Valentina. It was basically a intra-college socializing app. So you can open Valentina and make a profile for yourself, and many people can connect you on Valentina, send you a friend request, get connected, send you a message, collaborate on projects, etc. Valentina was live for around 1 week in last 2021 March, and it was a huge success. We had almost everyone from our batch, which is 2020 batch, sign up to Valentina, and we had this full-fledged app which was hosted on Firebase. So, and this was also an open source project which people contributed to. So many of such projects will be coming soon. Then, as I said, we had the Enlace website. We can have a look at Enlace website right now if the internet is good enough and if it works. Yeah, so this was the website that we developed for our cultural fest. It was a very functional, with great UI that talked about Enlace, and this website was up and running for the entire event, and we hosted all of our sponsors and FAQ, events, teams, everything on this website. And this was also open source. Okay, great. Next we have AutoJuber. I would love to call upon Vishal to talk a few words about AutoJuber.
It's a bit.ly. Just using the browser. Are you streaming? Yeah, I think the window. No, that's for YouTube.
Yeah, so hello 2022 batch. My name is Vishal Lopez, and from third year. So, first question: have any of you seen this name anywhere? Like, what are you? Do any one of you know about this? Just raise your hand, like then. So, not much. So, this is why I've come here. I've come here to talk about my project that I started in third sem. It's called AutoJumo. This initially was just a Chrome extension to automate a very simple task. Okay, I had to log into LMS every day. You have LMS, right? Where you check your classes and all that. So, if logging every day was it's a small task, but I just wanted to automate it. So I made a Chrome extension. And that's it. That's it. That was the start of AutoJumo. And since that day, it's been over like 1.5 years. Right now, we have an Android app, which is like the biggest project in our college, and it's being used by more than 50% of the people. So I would suggest you all to just scan the QR code and download the app. If not, you can just remember the URL and download it later. To talk more, AutoJumo is like a very huge project now. It is a Flutter app basically. It has front end, back end is hosted on Firebase, and I know that many of you would be interested in development, right? Okay, how many are interested in development for now? Okay, so web development Android. So all of you, like there'll be a separate session on this project especially. I'll be explaining how we do what we do. Okay, I think yeah, that's it. We'll have a separate session later. Okay, that's it.
I'll do it.
That was about AutoJumo. You can install the app and it will show you your best timetables, class timetable. It will let you access your faculty details, it will let you access your student details, and there's a lot of features which Vishal will talk about later. Then we had a project called Platform Plus. It's a 3D game that focuses on that was made using Unity by one of our seniors called Tejashwin. He was the ex-sublead of Game Development Club, and it was a huge project. We hosted it on POS, and we got a lot of contributions, and we finally got a working prototype, which is hosted on IIIT Kotiam's account. Then we had a project called Newsify, which asked the news questions. This was made by one of our juniors, and this was also the basic website which used machine learning, React.js, Flask, and HTML. And you could contribute to this during BOSS last year. Then Wildbeats website. So Wildbeats is the cultural club of IIIT Kottayam. They wanted a website for themselves, and we used open source to basically gather the crowd and make a Wildbeats website and post it over on their domain. We worked on Trendel's website in BOSS, and yeah, basically on BOSS we had we made websites for every club in IIIT Kottayam, and tech club collaborations. So one of the noteworthy collaborations for Tech Club is Game Dev X Utopia. So this was a MOU signed between the Game Dev sub club and PICT's Gaming Development Club. So if you're interested in game development and want to get involved with PICT's Game Development Club, which is a very good game development club, you can approach me or you can approach one of our seniors called Tejashwin. He is currently in contact with them, and we'll soon be having sessions on. They will be having sessions in our college, and we'll be having sessions in their college. Next, I would like to talk about Coding Ninjas chapter.
Hello everyone, I'm Manidhar. IIIT Kottayam is collaborated with Coding Ninjas to conduct various prize money contests and also some sessions on various topics. I guess you got mail on freshman induction session, which is going to be on this Sunday at 2 p.m. and which is about a 4-year preparation journey by industrial experts. Don't miss that. Do research for that. And some other sessions which are planned for next 6 months on DSA, General Career Guidance, Computer Programming, Introduction to Big and Data, and some other topics like AI and human development. All these sessions are handled by industrial experts, so don't miss it. That's all comforting with us. Thank you.
Next, Aditi will talk about our GDSC club.
Alright, good evening everyone. Am I audible like that? Can you hear me? Cool. Alright, so first of all, I'm here to talk about Google Developer Student Club. The name suggests developers. So as Vishal recently asked, how many of you are into development, and quite a few of you, raise your hands. So GDSC is one club. We call ourselves the Developer Student Club, where Google themselves provide us with great resources to study development, to work on projects, collaborate with people across the world, and get on to development. So, as Adi would have talked about resumes. So, resumes, what makes your resume impressive? A project, right? Coding is great. You need to do that. You need to build your concepts. Like everything is filled with coding, but development is something that gives something to the eye. How to present a code that you have written. You require development for it. You require a website to know what is the project about. Okay. Similarly, you require an app. AutoZoomer is an app. So development is very trivial to your projects, and GDSC provides resources, community, and people to work together and collaborate and work on different apps and websites. We've already been working on a couple of projects, and every month, one after the other, there are different technologies and resources shared by Google themselves, which are shared with students across IIIT Kottayam. You get a chance to actually have the real-time access to those technologies. You get to learn them, you will work on projects, and you get a certificate out of it. I mean, how cool is that? Just sitting in college, you get, great exposure. So GDSC is something that's absolutely global. It's not just in IIIT Kottayam. It's in IIT Bombay. It's in some college in United States of America. It's a global thing. It is something that's absolutely run by Google, and they've connected and brought the globe down to a very point-sized thing. And I want to make sure that each and every one of you is a member of this club. I'm not giving you a choice anymore. If you are into development, you've got to be at GDSC, you've got to contribute. And I know you guys are first years, but I'd like to give an example of these guys here. These are the 4 team members of the GDSC team. I am Aditi Shukla from the 2020 batch. That's Priyakam from 2021, Ram, Maitri, and Adya. All of them are from the 2021 batch. And these guys are like examples of people who worked under the tech club, under GDSC, even while they were in their first year. So Ram had built the app about a puppy, a pet care app. And GDSC also has hackathons, one of which is the Solution Challenge, and under which, even if you're in your first year and you have little knowledge about development, I really want you guys to come forward and apply whatever you know. Even if you have a basic idea, work on it, collaborate with people, and we have this one team standing right here to make sure all your problems are solved and any idea that you have comes out, alright? So I'm not going to take a lot of time today. This is Tech Club's event. GDSC event is going to happen tomorrow. We're having a full-fledged session dedicated to Google services, to projects that are going on, to how can you access this, to how can you have cool things on your resume to focus on. All of that tomorrow at 2:30. I hope you guys will be free. It's a Saturday. Don't sleep in. After your lunch, make sure you guys turn up. And we'll talk in great detail about Google Developer Students Club, about what all are the activities that we're looking forward to, and how you can contribute to all of it. Alright? See you then. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aditi. That was about GDSC. And now we also have a Geeks for Geeks student chapter in IIIT Kottayam, and you can be a part of it. So there are tons of opportunities for you to showcase yourself and be a part of these amazing clubs. So be out there, get into these clubs, try to contribute to various projects, and being a part of these clubs are also added opportunity to put on your resume. So if you're a part of Geeks for Geeks student chapter, you can tell in your resume that you were a part of the student chapter from this year to this year, and it'll be of great help. We also have a CodeShift chapter, which is handled by the technical club, and we'll talk about this in the future sessions. Let's talk about some of the events that were conducted previously by technical club. Hakuna Matata was a inter-college hackathon. It was IIIT's first hackathon, and it was a huge event. And very soon we'll be having a Hakuna Matata 2.0, and you can take part in it. It'll be super beginner friendly. You can contribute whatever you have, whatever skill set you have. Just make sure you form a solid team and you collaborate and contribute. Then we had Dhruva, which is the inter-college technical fest. We had multiple colleges participate in Dhruva. It was a 3-day event, and it was lots of fun. And then, as I mentioned, BOSS, it's a mock GSOC session. We'll be having BOSS 2.0 very soon. Activity was the recent event by Technical Club. It was a mini hackathon to see. Hackathon was online and it was very fluid, but we wanted to see how well offline hackathon would go, and that's why we conducted activity in a very small scale. It was a huge success, so we'll conduct a large-scale hackathon in the future. Now, what are the perks of being a Tech Club mentor? We had, so these are the achievements of past Tech Club mentors. We had a very small club in the 2020 and 2019 batch, which was limited to very few amount of people, and all of these people were able to do great things in their career. 4 teams got shortlisted for SIH, which is Smart India Hackathon. It's India's largest hackathon, happens at a national scale, and 2 teams came back with victory, and they got a cash prize of 1 lakh rupees. And then 1 team got selected into ICPC region list. It's the first time that's happening in IIIT Kottayam. Reflections Hackathon, 4 teams won prizes, 1 got internship opportunities. They just finished their internship and they were paid a stipend for their internship. Then we have multiple research internships, government-funded research internships in Germany. Many of our 2021 batch and 2020 batch applied for DART scholarships in Germany. That's when you get an internship in Germany and the government of Germany funds your internship. Travel, expenses, everything. Manthan took place last December, and I was a part of the winning team in Manthan. It was also a national-wide hackathon, and they also gave us promises of government internships. And then there's Nest Hackathon. 2 teams took part in Nest Hackathon. One that won it, and they got internship opportunities, which will be beginning soon. Now, these are the past achievements. So, what's next? So, we'll have, right now, we are depending on the placement cell of IIIT Kottayam for all of our internships and placements. We'll be having a in-house internship/job portal. So, there'll be a portal where you can go make your profile, and then make your profile, upload your resume, and people who come to IIIT Kottayam to hire, like Amazon and the various other startups that come to IIIT will directly go to the portal and hire students from the portal instead of going through the placement cell. We'll have a Beta Labs portal, so you'll have your own profile on Beta Labs and you'll have a score attached to your profile. So the more you contribute to the Tech Club, the better you score, and you'll have badges which you can showcase in your resume. Then we'll have a techno-cultural event which is happening on last week of January or first week of February, and we'll have webinars and sessions every week. BOSS 2.0 is something you should look forward to. Now that's the technical part of Technical Club. We also respect certain values in Technical Club which have to be brought up in this session. So this is a code of conduct. We respect inclusivity. Inclusivity means people from any state, north, south, east, west, whatever, any gender, any sexuality, any culture, any political or religious beliefs, any physical or mental ability will be inclusive in their club. And any person who goes against this and make somebody not comfortable in Technical Club, serious action will be taken against them. And we have multiple such events that happened in the past where people have criticized members of the Technical Club, and this can result in banning of people from the Technical Club. We respect each other, no matter if you're friends or you're collaborating on a project or you're a part of a hackathon. Please respect each other and make sure you have some kind of discipline within the club. Cooperation, work with others. Again, drop the JE mindset. That is not going to help you. You should try to start collaborating with each other. And there is no ranking system here. There is no rank lists or whatever. It's just how much collaboration you're doing within the technical club and how you're able to grow as a person. Accountability, if you're given a task by the technical club, you should be accountable for it. And in the same way, if you make a mistake in some of the projects, you should be accountable for it. And make sure you're on time and don't disappoint the people who gave you the work. And responsiveness, we love feedback, and you can approach anybody in the technical club. Come to us with questions, resume roasts, whatever you want, and we'll be glad to help. We also have a zero tolerance policy in technical club. Any person who makes comments like women are bad coders and they get an unfair advantage in the hiring process, you're differentiating between good and bad women based on how they dress, and accusing people of that. Boys will be boys, making inappropriate comments of somebody's appearance, maybe a person of any gender or any sexuality. Any sexist/homophobic comments will not be appreciated. And some of these events have happened in the past, and they have been taken exactly from those comments and pasted on the slide. So make sure you are inclusive and you are respectful and you are accountable for your mistakes. And stuff like go to the kitchen, people are watching because of you, will not be appreciated. And anything that you see on the slide should not be appreciated. And if you do it, or if you find someone who's making such comments, please report to the club. And it's not only about technical club. If any of such events are recorded and if anybody is accused, then they'll be banned from all of club activities in IIIT Kottayam. Yeah, all of these bans will not be reconsidered. There is a separate disciplinary committee in IIIT Kottayam which is handled by Bhakyawat sir, and you'll be reported to them. And once you're in the disciplinary committee, you're not allowed to take part in any club events. Do not bring up the excuse that you weren't educated enough or you were ignorant of the fact that homophobic or you're ignorant of homophobia or sexism or racism or whatever. Educate yourselves. Google is the one place where you can go and educate yourself about anything that's happening in the world. Do not make the comment that you were ignorant of the deeds that you've done. So yeah, that's it for from technical club. You can also, I wanted to talk about research-oriented tech club in research-oriented fields. So we talked a lot about development and competitive coding and DSA and how to get placed, get internships, blah blah. But research is also very encouraged in IIIT. We have multiple students who have gotten research internships and who are willing to go abroad for masters and PhD, who are actively learning for GRE, GMAT, TOEFL, and we appreciate anyone who wants to be a part of a research group and write papers together, make projects together. So anyone who are interested in research, just approach me and I'll guide you to the right place. And you can any queries you have, you can submit your queries to techclub@iitkottayam.ac.in. Make sure you have QWERIES in capital in the subject and write down your query, send it to the tech club. Either me, Shashank, or Dr. Victor Paul sir will answer to your emails. I don't think we have enough time for a Q&A session, or I don't know how to regulate it with like 200 people, close to 150, 200 people in here. But you're very welcome to ask me questions after the session is over. I'll be here for another half an hour. You can come up to me, ask me questions, whatever you want. Don't think about it being silly or not worth your time or my time. Ask me whatever you want, and every question will be acknowledged. And I will either try to answer them myself or guide you to the right place. So that is for the orientation. We'll be having a contest tomorrow, bi-weekly contest if I'm not wrong. But yeah, we'll be having multiple sessions in the few days. We'll be talking about GDSC, we'll be talking about coding ninjas, we'll be talking about Coders Club, and you'll be introduced to all of these clubs. So make sure you attend all these sessions and yeah, get started on your technical career. And semester 1 and semester 2 is the right time where you have lots of time to put into gaining skills and getting a better, getting good at some particular tech stack. Because semester 3 internships start, and by the third year you are burdened with CGPA, attendance, and various, not landing an internship or not getting placed. Third year you'll have your placements. So make sure you gain the skill set that you require for placements and internship right in your first and second semester. This will be a great place to start. And if you start early, you'll have a very fluid college time, and you'll be able to focus more on enjoying the college rather than being worried about getting placed and getting internships, which is not fun. Yeah, thank you everyone for being here. I'll be here for about half an hour. You can ask your doubts, and those who don't have doubts can go back to your hostel or continue doing your work. Thank you.